Hi, I'm Ken Merrit, Senior Application Engineer for SolidCAM USA, and today I really am honored with the opportunity to present to you here at this summit, and I'd like to show you a little bit about our Hole Wizard. Now, some of you may know about the Hole Wizard and some of you may not, so I want to kind of take you through a little bit of every aspect of it, and we're going to talk about some of the new enhancements that we're putting into SolidCAM2021 SP3. And we'll also get into just a brief discussion of some of the new development projects that we're currently working on. So to start off with, let's go ahead and take a look at this file that's on the screen. This is a part that I like to kind of call a filter sieve. All right, bunch of different sized holes. So as media comes through here, it would flow through this and filter the different granules down into, the chambers that the company wants them to store in. Okay. There's about 500 holes in this part. Now, if we go over and we look at the CAD design, notice that these are SolidWorks Hole Wizard features, okay? And so we're going to look at how the system manages those native features. Now, we'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about the actual Hole Wizard process and how this works, and then we're going to get into some other issues and talk about some different things that are happening, some of the enhancements that we're working with now. Now, there's several different ways that you can access the Hole Wizard. You can do it from this icon up here on the ribbon. You can also do it from right-clicking over here on the tree. But one of my favorite areas is our drag and drop, okay? So it is literally as simple as bringing out the menu here and grab this icon and drag it out to this surface and drop it. The system will begin to compute all the different holes and recognize what it's looking at, figure out what tools it's going to use, what depths those tools need to be run to, and in what order. And the system actually makes pretty quick work out of this 500 plus holes that are in these 6 different features with actual patterns, linear patterns to drive them. And you can see it's starting to create all that toolpath now, basically a spot drill and a drill for each one of them. Now when this finishes up, we'll take it through a quick simulation, show you what it did, and then we'll talk a little bit about what is the Hole Wizard process and how does it work and how do you use it. Okay, so those are finished out now. Let's go ahead and we'll turn the toolpaths off on them. And then let's go into our SolidCAM simulator. And here's our stock body. And let's go ahead and zoom in on this, and we're just going to go ahead and play it. And you can see it run all the spot drills and drills through each of those holes. Now, if I ran this down quite a bit slower, you could see it run. There's all the spot drilling, then it comes back and does all the drilling. Okay. So you can see it does a really quick job. It creates all these toolpaths. Now the really nice part about this is any of these toolpaths, if you open these up, these are just like a standard drilling operation that you would run manually. You have the geometry page, the tool page, your levels, of course your technologies, and so forth. So if you wanted to make any changes from what the process is set to do, it's very easy to go back into it and adjust those on the fly. Okay. Now, how does this work? A lot of people are intimidated a little bit by the Hole Wizard process. It's really not that difficult. Let me go ahead and double click here on the process. This opens up the process manager, and you can see we have 4 types of processes in here now. The one we just ran was the simple hole. So let's take a look at that. We're going to double click on that. It's going to bring up what that process actually is. This process is 2 operations with 2 different tools, a spot drilling operation and a simple drill operation. Now, this list over here, again, this is where a lot of people take a look at this and they become a little bit curious about what's going on in here. This is not very difficult once you learn how to do this. I don't want to go into a full training class, but let's just talk briefly about how this works and why it works. If I right-click here and I edit on this, you're going to see the operation is really identical to what it would look like if you were running a standard drilling operation. You've got your geometry, tools, levels, just like we saw a moment ago. Okay, but notice, like for instance here in the levels, that these are not numbers, these are parameters. Okay, and this is a user parameter right here. You can set these up by doing a user parameter, a part parameter, a whole wizard parameter, and of course you can also get in here and look at this and see what it is text-wise. Okay, and again, I'm not going to go into training here, but I wanted you to see just a little bit about this. Let's take a look at this spot drill chamfer diameter, for instance, and let's see what that is. Okay, now over here in the list, you'll notice that there are several of them that are turned blue because I'm highlighted on the spot drill operation. The blue indicates that that is a parameter that is being used in there, right? And notice we have the spot drill chamfer diameter here. Let's take a look at what that is. We have a couple of different things we can do here. We can, again, user parameters and such. Conditions is something that's very, very powerful. Basically, this gives us a logic condition that we can drive that in this case says if the whole wizard near side countersink diameter is greater than 0, then go ahead and use that diameter to drive the tool to. If not, then take the spot drill to the drill diameter. Okay? And so it's an easy thing for us to do. There's a lot going on in here, but nothing that's going on in here is very difficult. Another one that is a good example to look at is the actual spot drill diameter. Again, this is a condition. Look how easy this is to look at. Okay? Spot drill diameter is equal to or less than 5 millimeter, then we're going to use a 6 millimeter drill. If it is greater than that, but less than or equal to 9, we're going to use a 10. Greater than that, but less than 11, a 12, and so on. So it's really not very difficult to set this up once you understand it. And then that allows you to basically go ahead and use that spot drill or that drill process to apply automatic functionality to these holes. Okay? So I hope that gives you kind of a brief idea. Now, we offer training on this, and I'll talk about a few things here, more of a customer service type of a thing, okay? As a customer, speaking to those of you who are customers or prospects out here, this is something we can train you to do, or this is something that we can do for you for a moderate cost, okay? Speaking to our staff, resellers, and partners, this is something that you can provide as a service for your customers if they don't want to take the time to do this themselves. The cool part about this is that you can set this up to their specifications. You can have them tell you how they want to run their drilling operations, and you can build these processes to their spec and to their machine. All right, so with this file, I want to talk about something that we've done recently to enhance the whole wizard to be able to handle a little bit broader selection of hole types and functionalities, okay? So let's go over and take a look at the design tree on this, and what we're going to notice, here's the design model. Obviously we have the boss, which is the brick, but then we have this hole is constructed as a solid body construction, an extrude, as well as the counter bore. These are not native CAD hole wizard features. We also have the pattern that places all 4 of them in there, and then of course the chamfer for the top and the chamfer for the mid region. Now in the past this would have created some difficulty for us because we would have had to switch from hole wizard over to the automatic hole recognition and machining to be able to manage these types of holes. We've had a lot of requests to consolidate that, and so here's one of the things that we have done. Let's go into the hole wizard, okay? And in this hole wizard process, I'm going to simply pick on this counter bore diameter. And you'll notice that it picked up the entire hole feature. It picked up all 4 in the pattern. And if we go ahead and look at the dump, this is a diagnostics tool that we use for when we're building our processes. But notice it picked up the counter bore diameter. It picked up the counter bore depth. It picked up the mid countersink, both the depth and the angle, or the diameter and the angle. It picked up the near side countersink with its diameter and angle. And it also picked up the hole diameter, all processed into the same parameters that we use for our hole wizard. So this gives us a great way of being able to manage these type of holes as native SolidWorks features, but not the drill wizard or the hole wizard feature that we showed a minute ago. Another area that has been highly requested is the way we handle imported files. Now, in the past, we've always been able to right-click on the operations node and use the automatic hole recognition and machining technology. And that gave us the ability to identify the features and recognize the machinable features that it finds, and then go ahead and machine those. But that logic is different than what we're doing with the hole wizard. And so one of the requests recently has been to kind of consolidate that into what we're doing now with the hole wizard. So let's take a look at this model. And as you can see, the design model here is an imported file, right? We've also gone ahead and added some CAD hole wizard features to it so that we can see how the system can manage those, including their patterns and out of alignment to Mac 1, POS 1 type of orientations. Okay, so we're going to figure out how we can deal with all this using some of the new features that we've now built into the hole wizard. One of the things that we've now created is an ability to select the different hole types, whether it's a CAD hole wizard hole or whether it's a feature recognition hole. And so I'm going to leave this set to all holes with patterns, and we're going to go ahead and do a drag to hole. Now remember, the features were, the CAD features were here and here and out here. So all these other holes are imported holes. But I'm going to drag this over, and we're going to drop it on this hole. And you're going to notice that the system automatically, with the current hole wizard process, begins immediately capturing and generating that tool path for that simple hole. Now let's do that again for a different type of hole, a counterbore hole. And let's see what it does for that. And you'll see the system again processes that hole type, including all other holes similar that it finds in this alignment. And it creates that set of toolpaths for all of those different locations and instances of that counterbore hole. Okay, so that's pretty powerful. Now, we also want to do more drag to surface, and so let me go ahead and delete all of these, and we'll do a quick cleanup of the CAM part. We're just going to go ahead and clean up everything. Now let's say we're working with all of this, and we want to work with both the holes that were imported along with newer holes that we've created after import that are actually CAD. And so we're going to go ahead and just drag and drop to surface, and let's see what the system does. Now the hole wizard goes about, number one, processing hole recognition, and then looking at all of the different features in here, whether they are automatic hole recognition features or whether they are CAD hole wizards features. And so it will process all of these holes relative to the orientation of Mac 1, POS 1, and give us all of that machining. Now we are working on some more enhancements to allow for automatically creating coordinate systems that are needed for holes that are not in alignment with existing coordinate systems. That's something that will be coming sometime in the next few versions, or next few service packs probably. But as you can see, SolidCAM's hole wizard, utilizing a single process or a single set of processes, is actually been able to find both the CAD system hole wizard features as well as non-hole wizard features that were imported, and done all the machining for all of those all the way down here. Now, what about holes that are out of alignment? Let's go take a look at the Coordinate System Manager. And as you can see, I've created a Mac 1 Pause 1, which is up here on top. Then there's a Mac 1 Pause 2 out here for this hole orientation out here. And then there's a whole series of them that are around for all of these feature holes out here on the edge. Okay, and again, currently, this is the way that this is being managed. In a future version, there may be some more automated structure to be able to do that. So let's get it set back to Mac 1 Pause 1. And I'll go ahead and show you how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and drag the surface over to here, and let's see what it does. Notice that because we are set for automatic coordinate system, if it finds a coordinate system that aligns with the hole, then it will use that coordinate system, and it will machine all holes that it finds in that alignment, whether they are imported features or whether they are CAD wizard features. Okay, and so this has developed all of the toolpaths necessary for this entire block. Now, it'd be very easy to capture all these, do a 4th axis index, and in a situation like this where they're equally incremented index locations, that would be a very quick way to finish off the machining on this part. Okay. Now, another thing, let's go ahead and drag to a hole, and we're going to go ahead and pick up any face feature here. Let's go ahead and zoom this up, and we'll drop on the counterboard here, and the system will calculate that for us relative to that, since we do have the coordinate orientation defined as a subposition. Okay. And we're going to create those. Now, some of the things that we're looking at for future adaptation is relative to some of the things that we use in multi-axis hole drilling now. We're going to try to see what we can use out of that, and if there's a way that we'll be able to find these alignment orientations automatically. But that's coming. Now, again, doing just the onto the surface, very easy to pick up that surface and capture if there is an existing coordinate system that aligns to it, which those are easy to make. Then we pick up and we can capture all of that. So we can do it by dragging to the hole, or we can do it like I did in this case by dragging it to this face. Okay, and very quickly, as you can see, the system has created all those coordinate systems and aligned them to the appropriate coordinate system. And that works for any of these, of course. You can come out here and drag to a face, and any one of these will be aligned very nicely. Okay, so as you can see through this, a lot of work has gone on in the last 6 months to a year on the Hole Wizard module that we have. And again, we're going to be doing a lot more functionality as we go along. There'll be more things to see in this. We have another new feature that I'd like to show you, and it's been requested. Seems to be a popular request. It shows another area where we are consolidating functionality from our other drilling modules and bringing that into the Hole Wizard to try to bring everything into a single location for you. And that has to do with filtering the diameters of holes. Notice in this case there is a toolpath down through this center hole. Well, in order to clamp this onto the machine, it would be very nice to not have that toolpath there, of course. We could use a plate in here and a bolt submerged underneath the surface here. Give us a great way to clamp that down to a fixture or whatever. So let's go ahead and we'll do another delete all on this, get rid of these toolpaths for a moment. I want to show you how this filtering works. Let's go ahead and clean up the cam part. And what we've done is we've added in this hole diameter filter here. You can even click in this box and then come out and click on the one that you want so you can find out what size it is. And we want to just go to 39 just so we know we avoid that one. Okay? So let's drag back out to this face again and let's see how the system handles this. Now it's going to go through and process all those holes again, figuring out which ones are aligned with Mac 1 Pos 1, which is the alignment of that face, and it's going to avoid the 40 millimeter hole in the center. As you can see here, very easily processes through all these different holes, but again, keep your eye on this center hole, and we won't see a toolpath come up in there. Okay, almost done with it now. And the system has finished processing it, and notice there is no hole here. So that's the hole diameter filter. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is some of the things that are coming. And here's one that's been requested a lot, and there's a little bit more to it than a lot of people think, but we are currently working on this, and that is the sort processes by color. Some of the ideas that we are working on right now and beginning to develop is the ability to add a color column into the process manager table so that we can coordinate colors with processes to colors that the holes are marked with. Again, there's some rules of engagement that we'll be talking about relative to that and figuring out how to make that happen. One of the really nice features that that could give us is the ability to choose between, for instance, simple and precise functionality, different types of processes, if you will, for the same type of hole, whether that is a imported hole or whether it's a native hole or whether it's a hole wizard hole. So that'll be kind of a cool feature. That should be coming fairly soon. We are currently working on that. So let's do a little quick summary of what we've done, what we've talked about today. The current enhancements that are now in SP3 are starting with managing, non-CAD hole wizard native features. These are solid modeling constructions like extrusions and revolves and things of that nature. Also managing imported models with holes. Working with automatic alignment to existing coordinate systems and subpositions. That's going to be enhanced a little bit more as well, but currently that works very well. Finding patterns, okay? As you saw today, we can find patterns of identical holes that are not CAD hole wizard features that obviously have instances within the feature or patterns that have been assigned, linear or rotary patterns that have been assigned by the CAD system. These are for imported holes and so forth. The new hole type filter allowing you to choose between non-wizard and wizard type holes. And of course what we just talked about, the new hole diameter filter. Now, things that we're working on for the near future are the automatic handling of hole alignments, where we'll be able to create coordinate systems and subpositions based on the alignment of holes that are found. That's going to be some pretty interesting stuff. Also, we're talking about some enhancements to pattern management, building in associativity for native CAD wizard features, for instance, the linear and circular patterns. And then also, of course, the really big one, the color filtering, something that we've been looking at doing for a while now. So I want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this to you. I hope you like what you've seen. We are absolutely open to any suggestions for things that we may not be thinking about yet, comments on what you've seen today. or additions to what you'd like to see in the software going forward. Thank you for joining us today.